The United States Department of Education has an official position on how students should be assigned to tracks. In 1964, the United States Congress passed the Title IV of the Civil Rights Act, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, or origin in the assignment of students to schools, classes, and courses of study in programs that receive federal assistance. Thus, based on this law, it is the responsibility of the school to make sure that the basis of the track assignment is not discriminatory. Furthermore, students have to be given the chance to move from one track to another in accordance with their progress.
Tracking is based on the belief that it operates in the best interest of the students. Students of higher ability are held back when placed in classes with low ability students. The shortcomings of lower ability students are better addressed when those students are grouped together. Placing students in tracks is an accurate reflection of their achievement and abilities, and teachers can better accommodate the needs of students when they are in homogeneous classes.
Students with high ability perform at remarkably high levels of academic accomplishment in math and/or language arts when compared with others of their age, experience, or environment. LSSC recognizes that there are such students in all cultural and economic groups and strives to identify high ability in K through 12 in order to provide the challenging curriculum and instruction they need to develop their potential.
I mean, these classes are not classes. I want to stress that. A class is a regular responsibility of any school, with every department swinging its own weight and accepting responsibility of having a class for even the kids at the very lowest level. But additional needs classes, they're for low-skilled kids. They're a holding tank. Now, I know you could take this wrong. Some bleeding heart liberal will. But I say these kids aren't going to graduate. I mean, they come here for 4 years. What are we going to do? Give them a certificate of attendance? I mean, these classes are just a place to give them a little confidence, a little time.
Many students from poverty come from families who do not put a lot of emphasis on education.
So tell me about tracking at your school.
Well, I'm in the accelerated track, but my high school has a 3-track system. There's remedial track, designed for the slower learners, the mentally disabled, and those who refuse to use their intelligence. The normal track is for the average student, and for the student who wants to get by in high school. Finally, there's the honors, or accelerated track, for the exceptionally bright students.
My middle school has always tracked 7th and 8th graders, and this year, for the first time, is tracking 6th graders. I happen to favor tracking. The brighter kids can go on, read more difficult books, and take on challenges that would only frustrate the slower learners. Brighter kids were often embarrassed to answer too many questions because the other kids were tired of hearing them. Slower kids were often frustrated because they were always behind. Just when they thought they caught up, they would realize they were behind again. These same students did not want to participate or read aloud because their answers and abilities were never as good.
My calculus teacher, he's got 2 calculus classes and 3, he calls them failure algebra classes. He makes fun of them to us. I don't know, it's funny, but it's kind of sad.
So what about you? Is there tracking at your school?
I wish. I'm stuck in classes where everyone is scattered all over the place. You got slow, medium, and fast, and the teacher has to teach the slowest pace. So then the faster students are bored out of their minds because the classrooms have to run slower. I'm so tired of being stuck with people who disrupt the class with their questions and take up the teacher's time because they don't understand the basics. They should just separate people into classes for those who care and those who don't. I think the most fun with the regular track 9th graders starts from the beginning of the 2nd semester, when you can see that they're growing up. That they stop fooling around, using each other, like silly little things like poking each other and hiding pencils. But the additional needs students are less likely to make that same kind of shift in maturity or academic achievement. They're not good readers. They're poor in composition, poor in writing skills. Their image is poor. One of the things we're hoping for some of the kids in this additional needs class is we don't do anything else but make them feel a little bit better about themselves. That's all.
Hey, Susan, what's up? I was going through some of MJ's stuff and I found these math workbooks from last year. I thought Juanita would find them helpful. Well, Susan, by the way, did you hear? Leopards are the advanced students. What? Yeah, it's true. Chipmunks are average, and giraffes, well, those cafeteria tables aren't going to move themselves. How do you know this? I had a copy of each group's homework. Trust me, I cracked the code.
So that means that MJ's not in the...
Hey, but you said it yourself. It's no big deal. It's the pace, not the race, right?
Right?
Oh, and please, don't say anything to anyone. You know how competitive some parents can get.
Yeah. All too well.
I was in the low track. It was okay, but I always just felt inferior to my peers, and a lot of my friends were in the higher track, and they kind of treated me differently, I think. Well, I remember I always just considered myself one of the stupider ones, and I kind of just, it made me kind of have lower expectations for myself, because I thought, oh, I'm in the low track, so I can't do it.
I'm in the PLUS program at school. There's like 20 kids who get in every year, and you have to apply and interview. Everyone else thinks we have it so easy because we have fun Fridays, but only when we deserve it. They think we have it off easy, but we get way more work than them sometimes. Like right now, I have a 7-page paper to write. I feel like the teachers gave up on us, and that's why we got in this program. They don't think we deserve a second chance. The other kids look down on us because they think our classes are really easy, but they're not. You know, we have this award ceremony at the end of the year, but even if you have a 4.0, but you're in PLUS, you can't get an award.
My friends and I used to joke about being in the stupid class. I didn't think I had to try because I was below average anyways.
Children's beliefs about their capability of completing certain tasks or their self-concept strongly correlate with their motivation and level of achievement. So therefore, those who experience more problems in educational settings have fewer positive forms of motivation. Our research suggests that students in high tracks who generally do well in school will have positive beliefs about their abilities. Students in lower tracks who do poorly in school likely think that they lack the ability to succeed in a school-like setting. If students in lower tracks begin to compare themselves to those in higher tracks, they could be particularly vulnerable to having lower self-esteem of ability and self-concept.
Their inability to achieve in school influences their attitude towards reading. Because they don't read well, they avoid reading.
There are a few psychological factors that we must consider before we implement tracking into schools. A child's self-esteem is an individual's overall assessment of his or her value or worth. For example, I am a good or bad person. Self-concept, an individual's assessment of his or her competence in a specific area. I am good in English, math, or school, for example. Social comparison, comparisons that an individual makes between him or herself and other individuals in order to assess his or her own abilities, skills, and attributes relative to others.